I read another Salinger short story. It's Uncle Wiggily in Connecticut. It's another strange story. Um, it's about two women that get together. Um, one woman is visiting. Um, so the host of the house um, is a married woman, and the guest is more of a professional. And it's set in the 50s, and there's a lot of the trappings of um, that time period. They're smoking cigarettes and drinking highballs in the afternoon, and the host has a little daughter that comes in from playing, and she has an imaginary friend, and they talk, and the imaginary friend has a sword, and the little girl, when she goes to bed, sleeps on one side of the bed, so the imaginary friend has his side. And the little girl goes off again, and the host of the house has a servant that kind of comes in and out, and they're having drinks and having a conversation. Um, kind of a rueful, somber. They're laughing, but there's underlying sadness in their conversation. The host of the house is married, but um, you find out that she had an earlier love who died in the war. So they're talking about that, and the guest is saying, "Have you told your husband um, about your true love?" And it's something that's just sitting inside of her heart that she has to hide. Her husband's not strong enough, confident enough, um, trusting enough to accept um, that his partner, the woman in the story, um, basically would have had a life and loves outside of their own relationship, marriage. And they're smoking their cigarettes, and they're drinking their highballs, and the little girl comes back in, and they ask about the imaginary friend, and the little girl says that the imaginary friend is dead. It goes off again. And they get drunk, passed out, drunk. Seemingly it's the middle of the afternoon, and they're both just like passed out in the living room. Um, when they wake up, the little girl's in bed. The servant comes in and asks if her boyfriend could spend the night. There's bad weather, and asked if her boyfriend could just stay in the room for the night. And the host, the woman who is not in a loveless marriage, but um, regrets a life that she didn't have, tells the servant, "No, we're not running a hotel. Tell your boyfriend to leave. He can't stay here." And she's drunk. This is like a drunken stupor. She goes up to see her little girl sleeping in bed, and the little girl is all the way off on one side of the bed. And she wakes her up and says, "How come you're not in the center of the bed?" And the little girl says, "Well, I have a new imaginary friend that's in bed with me." And the mother drags her from one side to the center of the bed and says, "Now go to sleep." And she comes back down, and her friend is also awake now, and she sits down. The host sits down with the guest, and um, the host asks her friend who's visiting, and says, "Did I used to be a good person?" And that's the end of the story. Um, it's not the most impactful Salinger story that I've read recently, but it's certainly thought provoking. Um, And actually, just talking it out loud now and thinking about it, even though it wasn't like a shot blast in the face, like a good day for the banana fish, no pun intended. Um, I feel like it was. It's going to be equally as lingering, um, because it's such a powerful question. Did I used to be a good person? Um, and stylistically, it's just in tip top shape. It's a perfectly written, interesting short story. Um, anyway, it's kind of a short video. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you'd like.